One of the things about hooks is like when people buy a lure that already has a hook in them, a lot of times those aren't necessarily the best size of hook. Most manufacturers are a little bit better now than what they used to be, but one area that they can cut costs in their fishing is to put cheaper hooks on, cheaper hooks and cheaper split rings both. First thing I do with all my treble hook lures is I replace them all with the Gamakatsu G Finesse trebles. I'll also put that link in the description of my Tackle Warehouse link, guys. Those Gamakatsu G Finesse trebles, I think they're the best treble you can buy. They're nano coated, chemically sharpened. They got a O'Shaughnessy bend on them. They hold the fish really, really good. Designed by Aaron Martens. I just absolutely love them. But from what I've seen, very few lures that you buy. Now you can't, there's nothing you can really do about a single hook lure like a jig or something like that, but very few lures that have treble hooks on them that I buy have what I consider the correct size of treble hook on. Okay, so let's talk about what you want to have here. There's two considerations when you're talking about your size of treble hook. Number one is you don't want the treble hook to be too large for several different reasons. First of all, the visual impact. You know, a larger treble hook is going to be more visual to the fish. That's going to be what I call a strike detractor. It just doesn't, it's not part of the bait. It doesn't look natural. That's why I always catch more fish when I take my hooks off my crankbaits and stuff when I'm practicing, because you just don't have that hardware hanging off of them. Next with that is a larger hook will impede the action of your lure. It will deaden your lure in terms of vibration and swing. So that's another factor. And then thirdly, if you use too big of a hook, there's this myth in fishing that going with a bigger hook, you're going to hook the fish better. That's not really true, because a bigger hook has a larger diameter wire on it, or steel. And the larger the diameter on the hook, the more difficult it is to penetrate it into a fish's mouth. So from that standpoint, I always like to go a little bit smaller than a little bit larger. So if I'm throwing a jerkbait or crankbait or topwater or something, and I look at that hook, I want a hook on there that, say, that thing looks a little bit too small over the fact that hook just looks a little bit too big. You always want to go on the side of smaller, especially with a treble hook. Now, this is also true on a worm hook. If you're throwing EWG or straight shank worm hook, always go down in size. And it took me many years to learn this, because I lost a lot of fish thinking that, okay, if I put a larger hook in my creature bait or my worm, that's going to penetrate more of that plastic, and I'm going to have more bite gap in the fish. That's not true.